Hey guys, it's Jake from Wani, and I am here with Miland, Mille Petrozza from Kreator. Mille, how you going, man?
Very good, man. Very good.
We're just going to get straight into it, man. So 2017 started on a pretty brutal note with the new record, Gods of Violence, which has taken almost 5 years to come out. So now that the record's been out for almost 6 months, how's the reception been so far from the metal community?
Couldn't be better. To us, the way we measure the success of a record is how do the fans react in a live situation to the music to the songs that we put into the set list. And for this tour, we've added like 5 or 6 new songs to the set list, and the reactions are just as good as for, let's say, Extreme Aggressions or like one of the classic songs, you know. And so that's, to us, is mind-blowing, and shows us that we did something right.
Yeah, nice. And I think that sort of ties in really neatly with my next question, because I think that musically Gods of Violence continues where the Phantom Antichrist stopped, and I feel like you guys have taken the brutality and the melody to that next level on this record. So was that a conscious decision to follow a path where you just keep injecting that melody and brutality sort of equally in the tracks?
Music should never be like a conscious decision, if you know what I mean. It's more like when we write music, it's like something that we feel, really. Music comes from the heart, and of course we go into the studio, and maybe that answers your question better. Once we have the rough ideas for a song, we go into the studio and try to add something, make it even more exciting, make it even more, put more dimensions, more ideas, more creativity into one particular song, and that's where the melody might come in, and the melodic parts. Some of the chorus parts, for example, have like a lot of things happening in the background. So to make the listener's experience even more exciting, and I guess that's how we write songs. And it's never like, we never sit down and go like, okay, we've done Phantom Antichrist, now let's follow up. It's more like, okay, let's come up with new songs that we feel different than anything we've done before, and maybe we can explore some new fields in music. Maybe we can learn something else, something new. Maybe we can like just add some exciting new songs to the Kreator universe, and that's how we write songs, really. And there's never a master plan or anything like that.
Yeah, all right, that's cool. I want to talk lyrically about the album now. So lyrically, it reflects the hate of the infuriation of all the people around the world, and it sort of seems like it's a World War III in the making. It's wonderful seeing you guys use some graphical words and some real heavy vocabulary, and yet the lyrical message on this record is ultimately a positive one. So saying again that you guys don't really make any conscious decisions, but how did those lyrics sort of come to be?
Also very much like stream of consciousness style. You just start writing something down. Every time I have music, or sometimes I have the lyrics first, sometimes I have the title first. A lot of times I have the title first, and then I try to fill that with a title that I think sounds cool with a meaning. And sometimes I come up with a story that I kind of try to fill with life. For example, the song "Death Becomes My Light." I was reading a lot about that near-death experience, and I wanted to write a song about somebody that experienced that, and he comes back to life, and he tries to tell all his friends about it, and he's all excited to tell like everyone that they don't have to be afraid, and nobody listens. That's kind of like the frustration and the sadness is reflected in that song. World War Now, of course, is like for example, it's been kind of based on the events at the Bataclan, but not really. I mean, I don't really like to write about current events too much because I want to write lyrics that still can have the same meaning in 5 years from now. So I try to keep it pretty much timeless, so to speak, you know.
Yeah, fair enough. And that definitely comes through with the way that the lyrics come across. Switching on now, I feel that the word violence is nothing but, I guess, a message of peace for a band like Kreator. And when I say that, I mean that it's, in a sense, violence that you guys channel to turn into something positive. Now, not many bands follow that sort of an ideology, and is that something that you guys try to inject into your music?
Absolutely, and it's and I think that's, to me, you know, I'm I don't know if I'm a pacifist. I don't want to categorize myself, but I believe in peace. I believe in the good in people. You know, I always try to keep the PMA, and I always try to see, if I meet someone, I try to see the good things rather than the bad things first. And if I figure out that I you know, there's something evil in every one of us, but I try to mostly focus on the good things and try to get that out of people and out of the band and out of the music. And I think that adds a lot more to music and makes it even stronger, especially since the titles are so graphic. You could think that we write about horrible things, and we do, but it's a reflection. It's like, look, this is how fucked up the world is. Let's come up with a solution and deal with it, or at least deal with it and stick together to find a way of dealing without going insane. You know, that's how I kind of like to see it. It was a very short version of it, but yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So I want to just touch quickly again on melody, and I guess I feel like Sammy has brought in a lot of Scandinavian influences with him on this record, as well as some of the other ones that he's done a bit of work on. So how do you guys both work when it comes to melodic ideas, or is it, again, just another one of those things that happens organically?
That also happens organically. I come up with the melodies most of the times, and I send them to Sammy, and my melodies sound more rough, maybe more I don't know how to more. I don't know. My melodies. Once I give a melody to Sammy and he plays it, it sounds so different, so much more beautiful, so much more powerful than when I play it. So Sammy ends up playing most of the melodies nowadays on the records, and maybe that's where the Scandinavian influence comes from, because obviously he is Scandinavian. Yeah. But the lyrics, the most of the melodies, except for some songs where Sammy came up with the melody. I think in 3 or 4 songs on the new record, the melodies were written by me, and he just Scandinavianized.
Yeah. So Kreator's obviously coming back to Australian shores. How does it feel, again, to be returning back to the land down under?
I'm looking forward to this, man. I mean, to me, this is almost every time we tour. You know, we tour a lot around the world a lot, and Australia. I'm not just saying it because this is an Australian interview, but to me, it's always a highlight because it is the other part of the world, and to me, it's great to see that so far from where I'm at, on the other side of the world, there's people that feel the same things that I feel, and connecting with these people, connecting with all these, with the scene in Australia, which is a very strong metal scene and a very healthy community. It's always a trip, man. It's always exciting, and I'm honestly looking forward to this. It's going to be great.
Yeah, sweet. And what's ahead of Kreator after the Australian tour? So have you got any other tours planned, or are you going to start working on new music, or maybe this one's particularly I guess directed towards you yourself, but have you ever thought of writing a solo album?
The popped up before in my mind. I have so many interests in music. I like so many different styles that I was thinking about doing a solo album. Yes, but to be honest, I'm the main songwriter and creator, and it's a timing issue. I don't have the time to write a solo album that I would be excited about, if you know what I mean. And I'm not the kind of musician that just puts out something for the sake of putting out something. If I would write a solo album, it would occupy my time for at least half a year to a year. And creator's very busy,
Yeah, definitely. Look, I'm going to ask something which I've always thought quite interesting about you guys, and it's diving back into your history a little bit, but there was a period around the 90s where yourselves were experimenting, and I mean most thrash metal bands around that time were experimenting as well, and I know that you've said that success is achieving what you were aiming for those particular albums, so you were happy with all of them, but do you ever want to write an album like you did back in the 90s?
I do write music like I did back in the 90s, because if you listen closely on Gods of Violence, there is the song, for example, the song that I mentioned earlier, Death Becomes My Light. It has a goth touch to it. There are certain parts where I have goth touches and more like strange, kind of like Pink Floyd-ish, atmospheric like parts. The 90s were, like I said, I mean, you gotta understand that when the 90s were happening, we were experiencing a change in technology, which was not normal, and we're experiencing Pro Tools, we're experiencing sequencers, and of course, as a musician, you wanna explore these things, and you just go crazy with it. That's what we did in the 90s. Nowadays, these technologies are common and normal, so there's no use of experimenting anymore. We use them different. We use these technologies differently nowadays. On a musical level, I think I'm totally happy with what I do and what I can do with Kreator nowadays, because an album has like 10 to 12 songs, and I can have like 10 to 12 different vibes. Going from total thrash metal to traditional heavy metal to kind of goth rock vibe, punk rock, hardcore, all my favorite kinds of music. And so, no, I don't think I want to write an album. Like I said, I mean, in the 90s, we were like doing like, I'm a big, I look at music sometimes as I look at movies, because I'm a movie nerd. And I remember when I wrote like the two albums, Outcast and Endorama. Those were my Dogma albums, and Dogma is a there was this directors, there was a group of directors, and Last One Trio was one part of this group. They were putting out movies where they created a dogma for each movie. So, for example, you were not allowed to do certain edits, and you were only allowed to have a hand camera. And we did that on Outcast. On Outcast, we were like, okay, we don't write a fast song. We only go to a certain beat. And on Endorama, for example, we were like, okay, we write the most dark album ever. So that kind of thing we wouldn't want to do it. We wouldn't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Those times of.
I definitely get that. I guess it was that sort of a time, and as I said, there were a lot of bands that were experimenting around then. So yeah, that's a really good answer. It really covers a lot of things off. I do have one final question for you, Mille, and this is one which is another sort of interesting one. But would Kreator ever do a live DVD with an orchestra? So I'm thinking like special shows, say at Wacken or any one of the other European festivals, something similar to what bands like Dimmu Borgir and even Accept are doing. I know I've seen personally Apocalyptica play with an orchestra at Wacken, and it blew my mind. But is that something that Kreator would ever sort of look into?
Apocalyptica aren't they really an orchestra almost? They are like a band that You know, let me put it this way. I am not a fan of these kind of things, and I know that, you know, it might be great to do, to come up with like some idea like that, but to be honest with you, maybe I never say never, but most of the times I see these kind of things, I'm going like, oh, come on, this is too much.
Fair enough. That's a very valid answer.
Having a song like Pleasure to Kill with an orchestra, I just can't see it and I don't feel it yet. Maybe if I'm getting a little older, I might think differently, but at this point in time, no.
Yeah, that's cool. Mille, thank you so much for your time tonight, and we look forward to seeing you when you come down here later this year.
All right, man. Take care. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you. See you later.